Here's what's coming up in today's Frontline compilation. Russian assault groups push across an open, wind-flattened plain near Pokrovsk, fully exposed to Ukrainian optics and drones tracking every move. Watch how technology erases the last scraps of cover. Spring leaves mask Russian infantry only for seconds before Ukrainian drones drop grenades through the canopy. See how thin foliage becomes a fatal illusion on this front. Drone eyes catch Ukrainian prisoners disarming under guard when one lunges for a Russian rifle. The split-second gamble triggers immediate chaos. A trench camera watches grenades rain on exposed Russian positions, each blast worse than the last. This is real footage, no effects, just raw moments from the battlefield. Subscribe to stay updated on every Frontline report and stick around to see it all unfold. Let's get into it. Thermal-equipped drones from Ukraine's 21st Separate Special Purpose Battalion scan trenches and rooftops in monochrome, picking up the glow of Russian soldiers even behind walls. Operators launch FPV strike craft and simple drop drones in an endless cycle. A direct hit from a racing camera drone is followed by grenades released from above. Every burst is immediately verified on the feed, and fresh munitions are queued. The footage shows no pauses, only steady, methodical work that denies Russian troops a moment's shelter or sleep. Helmet-mounted camera footage from a 3rd Separate Assault Brigade soldier shows the ramp dropping on an armored vehicle somewhere near Bakhmut, then troops sprinting into shell-churned fields. Automatic fire rattles as they bound forward, using the vehicle's hull for cover before peeling away toward dugouts. Riflemen trading magazines, spent shells clattering on steel, and the carrier's cannon firing over their heads. Russian-released footage shows several FPV drones steering through woodland toward a Ukrainian roadside checkpoint. One impacts what appears to be a parked T-72. A brief infrared flare at the 31-second mark hints at ammunition ignition. The clip is heavily cut, obscuring the exact sequence and extent of damage, yet multiple hits are evident. Beyond these visible impacts, the video offers minimal context on casualties or subsequent action. A handheld phone camera pans across a blasted bridge in Kursk as a Russian squad talks and gestures toward distant smoke. Without warning, shells detonate directly on the span, shrouding the lens in fire and debris. When the picture clears, several figures are aflame, rising and fading as the cameraman staggers. The feed cuts after a final concussive blast, ending the recording that investigators later say was recovered from the operator's body. It is a squad's final minutes, captured unintentionally. Border Guard operators of Ukraine's Phoenix drone unit guide FPV drones across open fields in Donetsk, steering by on-screen crosshairs until a Russian gun or truck fills the frame. Each video segment shows a different target: an exposed infantry cluster in a tree line, a self-propelled artillery piece idling beside camouflage netting, an armored transport reversing down a dirt track. Contact, static, then a bright flash as the feed cuts, followed by another launch. The compilation underscores how frontline drone crews now hunt anything that moves or burns fuel. FPV drone from the 414th UAV Strike Brigade homes in on a lone Russian motorcycle speeding along a dirt track. Impact turns the bike into a fireball. The next frame shows the rider lying motionless beside his equally blackened motorcycle. Subsequent clips repeat the same pattern. Second motorcycle struck mid-turn, its rider thrown clear and burning. A third engulfed in flames before sliding to a stop. Each segment ends with the scorched vehicles and casualties frozen beneath the hovering camera. Drone footage opens with 2 Russian soldiers walking across a bare field, unaware of the quadcopter above. A small grenade drops between them and detonates. One falls immediately while the other staggers away, clutching his side. Subsequent clips follow troops sheltering behind low berms, inside shallow pits, or under tree roots. Each time, the drone releases another grenade that lands within arm's reach, bursting dirt and smoke over the huddled men. The sequence repeats across several positions, demonstrating how overhead munitions reach soldiers even when they believe themselves hidden. Wide-angle drone footage near Pokrovsk captures Russian assault columns crossing bare steppe, wheat stubble flattened by wind. Infantry advance beside armored trucks, but there is no fold in the ground, no tree line, just flat horizon. Ukrainian thermals pick out every hot engine and body, guiding artillery and FPV strikes that erupt along the column. Vehicles veer, troops scatter, yet nowhere absorbs them. Explosions chase across the open like hail. Even historic Soviet manuals warned that steppe assaults needed smoke, now nullified by modern optics. More detonations bloom, closing every gap. Footage released by Ukraine's Layut Brigade shows a T-64BV tank, its Contact 1 explosive reactive armor bricks still intact, grinding through ruined streets of Toretsk. A thermal drone angles overhead, capturing the 125mm gun-firing sabot rounds into suspected Russian firing points. Police officers turn tankers load shells with surprising speed, the loader's arm blurred in infrared. Every shot is followed by secondary strikes from supporting drones, synchronized to compound damage. As dusk deepens, the tank's searchlight sweeps empty windows, still hunting for heat plumes that signal another target lurking in the rubble. Helmet cam and overhead drone footage from Ukraine's Azov regiment combine to show an assault on Russian trenches. Armored personnel carriers halt, and Azov troopers dismount, firing into foxholes and tossing grenades. A Russian grenade explodes almost on top of one squad, and sharp cries echo through the smoke. Even so, the Ukrainians press the attack, overrunning the position and silencing any remaining resistance. Observation drone video tracks a Russian squad sheltering in a house. An FPV drone slams into the structure, forcing the soldiers to sprint into the open, where waiting Ukrainians cut them down. The drone circles low for confirmation, leaving no doubt about the squad's fate. Graphic aftermath footage in Hostomel shows wrecked armoured vehicles and fallen Russian troops, their outdated gear scattered amid scorched earth. The camera pans over crushed turrets and burned uniforms, stark evidence of a costly assault carried out with inadequate equipment and grim consequences. Drone footage captures several bound Ukrainian prisoners kneeling in a field while 2 Russian guards watch. One captive suddenly lunges for the soldier's rifle and is shot point blank. The same guard swings his weapon and fires again, killing a second prisoner. Another Russian then kneels over the first wounded man and stabs repeatedly, the blade rising and falling while the victim clutches at the attacker's gun in a futile struggle. A continuous trench line recording captures a Ukrainian soldier cycling through a PK machine gun, multiple AK rifles, a fragmentation grenade, and an RPG while defending against a Russian assault. The 5-minute clip offers an unfiltered look at rapid weapon changes and relentless fire in cramped earthen trenches.
Мой автомат, дай!
Reconnaissance drone footage from Russian sources follows a BRDM crew as their scout vehicle bursts onto a mine and stalls on a dirt road. The 4 crewmen bail out, sprinting across an open wheat field toward friendly lines. Because the same drone provides exact coordinates, follow-up FPV drones and artillery shells shadow their path, detonating meters behind the fleeing men. Each explosion forces them to change direction, yet the camera shows shockwaves closing the distance. The segment ends with smoke obscuring the last 2 still moving. Video stitched from a recovered GoPro and an overhead Russian drone depicts 3 Ukrainian soldiers dragging a wounded comrade across churned mud. The GoPro wearer shouts "Sky" and fires upward, trying to down the buzzing quadcopter that is ranging them for mortar fire. Almost immediately, explosions land bracketing their position. The camera jerks and mud splashes the lens. When the smoke clears, the trio lies motionless beside the casualty while the drone hovers, confirming the strike. Conflicting claims say the men were later evacuated alive, but the footage offers no proof. Footage allegedly filmed by a Russian forward observation team shows a Ukrainian reconnaissance element opening fire on a civilian sedan traveling the only unmapped road in the grey zone near Vuhledar. Muzzle flashes streak from the tree line, and the vehicle rolls to a stop riddled with rounds. The source's narration claims the shooters mistook the occupants for enemy infiltrators moving under the cover of civilian transport, a tactic sometimes mandated to avoid anti-tank missiles. After the barrage, the observation team walks the camera closer, revealing shattered glass and still passengers. A compilation of drone-dropped grenades focuses on exposed Russian infantry clinging to shallow fighting positions. Each strike lands with terrifying accuracy, scattering dirt and body parts across narrow trench lips. One sequence follows a wounded soldier crawling through blood-soaked mud, past the charred body of a comrade whose uniform still smolders. The camera tracks the injured man until he collapses and lies still. Throughout, no anti-air fire or overhead cover appears, emphasizing the helplessness of troops forced to face unseen threats descending from a silent sky. Overhead footage shows 2 Ukrainian soldiers edging along a trench toward a Russian concealed in a wall cutout. The grenadier's first underhand toss lands outside, detonating uselessly behind the enemy. Immediately, his partner sprays the corner with rifle fire, but the Russian survives and ducks deeper. Advancing, the Ukrainians lean around the earthen edge, firing 10 deliberate rounds into the cramped hole. The grenadier then delivers a second grenade overhand, this time dropping it squarely into the recess. The blast fills the screen with dust, ending the short, violent encounter. Compilation footage from Ukrainian drones shows a quadcopter scattering spike strips onto well-used routes. In a scene, a Russian motorcycle hits the fresh caltrops and topples. A later clip shows a soldier sprinting across open ground when a strip drops directly on him, the footage cutting after impact. Subsequent scenes feature drones attacking vehicles that have already been immobilized. A fixed camera watches a line of Russian soldiers lying face down, rifles discarded, while Ukrainian troops cover them. One Russian stands, feigning surrender, then suddenly raises a hidden weapon and opens fire. The unexpected burst wounds a Ukrainian off-screen and triggers an immediate response. Automatic fire erupts, and grenades follow, killing the entire surrendering squad within seconds. After the gunfire ceases, aerial footage surveys the scene, showing lifeless bodies scattered where they had been complying moments earlier. Stark evidence of perfidy's lethal repercussions. Compilation footage released by Ukraine's intelligence directorate presents its snipers and infantry in distinct vignettes. First, a team inside an abandoned building fires precision shots at targets. A separate clip then shows the same group loading into a vehicle, relocating, and establishing a new perch to resume sniping. Later footage captures operators firing a grenade launcher at distant positions. A different scene features troops controlling quadcopters for reconnaissance. The sequence then shifts to a quadcopter banking back toward friendly lines. Thanks for watching these unfiltered frontline moments. You've been tuned to M6 Archive, bringing battlefield reality straight to your screen. Hit subscribe and drop a comment to stay in the loop.